Hello everyone. Hot Milk movie from 2025. And this is the movie which is gonna be, of course, on my favorite list for like multiple reasons. First of all, I like how this movie is actually just, uh, narrates. And the narrative is pretty unique for me. I never mentioned this movie before, but of course I was waiting for this to come out like on digital. So we have now this movie, and it's actually starting with Sofia, main character, arriving to Spanish coastal town with her mother. Together they going to find that mysterious doctor who is mostly specializing on treatment that related to like psychological aspects rather than neurological. And her mother is basically suffering from some mysterious illness that is described as she cannot walk, but sometimes she can, and it depends, and nobody actually knows her exact illness. And together they on that Spanish coastal town, and they are going to be attending the doctor multiple times. But the place they rented, basically, the the conditions of that place is not so good, because it's more rural part of Spain, I would say. So basically Sofia's experience in that town is something out of her comfort zone, because she never really she was once, when she was 15, in that same town. She was if I remember correctly, she was attending the same place multiple times, but it was due to her father's past, because her father basically left when she was 15 or something like this, or even when she was 4. But after that, she actually traveled to see her father. But it's not about that, it's just a little bit notes. And Sofia's character is basically the caregiver for her mother. She's taking care of her mother, and this is her mission on this, traveling. And she's basically seeking something aside of this, treatment for her mother. And she's basically studying. As we know, she is permanent student, and she deferred her study as anthropologist or something like this. And she's basically watching a lot of documentaries. She's really interested in some type of mysterious type of documentals, because she's watching different type of rituals, dances, and her dreams. Sometimes they show really strange things, like she's sitting in wheelchair, and this is somehow reflecting on her relationship with your mother, because she is really codependent on her mother. They together just, codepending on each other. And this is like her trap. She's seeking her own path in this life. She's looking for something, beyond just that mother-daughter relationship, but she's stuck there because she needs to, take care of her mother. But at some point, she actually ran into this woman who was basically riding a horse, but she was immediately like, in Sofia's radar as a beautiful woman just riding a horse along this beach, and she was like, of course, attractive woman, which wasn't really basically that like common, let's say, because a lot of people there, they were mostly tourists or seeking same type of like treatment or something like this. And she of course noticed that woman immediately, and that woman, Ingrid, she was there for the other reason. She was actually just some type of artist, and she was working at the same time. She was going to go back to Germany, where she's from. And first time Sofia saw her, it was something really like the moment she realized that there is something more to be for apart her mother. There is something really to stay longer and to discover probably some, new connections. But they didn't really like get introduced first time. And after that, Sofia got basically stung by jellyfish. And the jellyfish in this movie play like the vital role. It's like the symbolic for Sofia's character, because jellyfish stings her twice. In this movie, basically, this is like the portrayal of her struggling with her mother and how jellyfish stings her, and this is triggering her to awake, basically. That awakening moment, starting with jellyfish moment and some type of things that trigger Sofia to question her own mission on this journey. Not only taking care of her mother, but something beyond that, And her mother, of course, is taking care of her as well, but due to her mother's inability to just simply walk and to go with Sofia anytime, like to go out with her, it's not that easy, to find like your place in that relationship, because it's mostly that Sofia is giving more than she can get from her mother due to her mother's illness. And this is why this new acquaintance, Ingrid, really like a good finding for Sofia. This is like finding that she didn't expect, but it comes when you just expect least, when there is no like idea that someone is gonna be like your person. or at least the person like she was missing her whole life, because there wasn't anyone like who would be, let's say, a good friend. And once they got introduced, there is like that obvious contrast between Sofia's and Ingrid's characters. They definitely hit it off, but Ingrid seems more comfortable and relaxed, like living at that place in that like coastal town of Spain or something like this. She's definitely like more settled and feeling like Sofia is just lacking that, and she's actually trying to like open up Sofia a little bit, because all Sofia talks about their first meeting was just studying, and she referred to some woman, which was basically Sofia's like subject of studying. And that woman was basically attending like multiple islands to, study teenagers, adolescent, and she was referring to that woman as the subject of her studying, but at the same time, the woman she was referring to was studying another people. And this is like the cycle of Sofia's life, basically. She's basically, as we know, permanent student, and she is never gonna end that studying. She's never gonna really live her life, but she's basically researching other people's lives, and she's going to be like that. But now she is like introduced to this Ingrid character, and this seems to be the person who is gonna bring that to Sofia, that part she was missing, to stop just, researching how other people live and just start live your life. And Ingrid immediately just used this opportunity with Sofia, but they were like probably just good match. There is no other people on that coastal side of Spain when you can just, choose who you want to be with, who you want to, hook up with. But when you see this type of like woman, it's just inevitable. So they spent one night together, but she introduced her some type of, boyfriend, but at the same time, this man was only like a driver for Sophie. And Sophia basically was not happy about this man, because it's just showing how Ingrid's character not serious when it comes to exclusive relationship. And since she didn't mention that she has someone, it was disappointing for Sofia to see that man like coming out of nowhere. And in Ingrid's life, he seems to be a part of it, not only a driver for Sofia, but now he is really a part of this relationship. And he is helping Sofia's mother he's helping her like as anybody else would. Anybody would do the same thing, but still this like connection between Ingrid and this man is something irritating Sofia a lot, because like her mother is not up to point in this conversation, in this relationship. She is just there to get the treatment, but Sofia she is there for something bigger than that. And she sees that Ingrid's opportunity just to finally discover something about her like life, her identity, her past, because her past was the only like thing that was lingering and still like impacting her choices and the way she's thinking about things. And specifically her father figure, who's with another woman and who left Sofia when she was poor. She didn't really remember his like presence in her life, and she only saw him twice after he left his family. And now she is in Spain. She can really see him because he is living in Greece, and this is pretty close to Spain, so they actually gonna explore that relationship. And Ingrid is actually giving Sofia this like piece of art she was working on, and this basically dress is something that, you know, definitely going to be a part of like Sofia's realization of, you know, her life and how she is trapped in this like mother-daughter relationship. Because on this cloth there is really a label that says beloved, but at some point we will see that this like word is not just simply word, it's gonna be more than that. The meaning behind that is gonna be like differently interpreted, and we'll go to that point later. But now they like went to desert and to spend some time together and to finally get to know what happened to like Sofia and Ingrid before they met each other. So this is like the place when they can finally, you know, just get to know about each other something. And Ingrid's past is more dark, since she said that she killed someone long time ago. She did kill someone, but she didn't specify what exactly like was that, you know, she killed. And Sofia went to Ingrid's place basically to see if Ingrid's there, but she wasn't really, and she found the picture of Ingrid and, as we know, her sister. But she didn't really realize what happened to her sister yet. And she went to her place when Ingrid works on her clothes. She is basically some type of designer. She is working on you know, personalizing clothes and like labeling clothes, printing some, words on it. And that dress was again something she made for Sofia. But that man Matty is somehow just still presenting like a huge disappointment for Sofia, because she is not like capable of understanding why like Ingrid can be that, easy to go for another woman at the same time to be with another man, and like simultaneously like being with two different people, but like not openly discuss it, is something really disturbing Sofia a lot. And she went to the rescuer who basically rescued her from the jellyfish accident, when jellyfish basically stung Sofia first time she was rescued by this rescuer. And she went to this place basically to, replace Ingrid's abandonment, because Ingrid basically told Sofia that Matty man is gonna be like soon, and that Sofia needs to leave Ingrid's place. So this is why like Sofia resorted to this, and she went to this rescuer, and of course for like love. And after that, Sofia's mother really like triggered something in Sofia. And not only her mother, but Ingrid and her actions, her, her words, and how Sofia is just really opening right now, because she's getting like irritated by a lot of things on this like experience. She's gonna be like really awakened by a lot of things. And of course the most important part is your mother, but at the same time that Ingrid's situation caused, of course, dilemma in Sofia, and she's seeking answers, because she was told that Ingrid just killed someone before they met, and like now like her mother pressuring her, and she even got stung by jellyfish again. And jellyfish is again playing some type of symbolic role in this movie, because once she got stung, that was just the beginning of the movie, but she got twice stung by jellyfish, and like second time she got stung was actually revealing another Sofia, and caused something to change in her personality, and to question her like role in her mother's life, and in this new like Ingrid relationship. And she found that Ingrid not only living with that Matty driver, but she's also like hanging out like with this stranger who was basically like giving riding lessons to Ingrid. Since she is riding a horse, we know that like this can be true, but it seems like it's just, Ingrid leading the most like open lifestyle and just hooking up with multiple people at the same time. And Sofia is getting like really upset by this situation. And she's basically like showing how she can be really just, developing from that person she used to be. She can be really changing, and she just asked her mother to to get some break from this treatment and to go to see her father. And she arrived to Greece to see her father, and this is the time when she discovered something about her mother's past, that her mother wasn't really transparent about multiple things, specifically about her family and her aunt, Sofia's mother's sister, who died. And this is like similar to that Ingrid's sister who died, but they gonna like bring it up multiple times that sister died and how like that secret triggers something in Sofia. And on this pith, the beloved actually was beheaded on that cloth, which was really like surprising for Sofia, because on that piece of cloth we saw like distinctly beloved, and it explicitly said beloved, but now she sees like that there is beheaded. And I understood this part as something like changed in Sofia, and she realized like this is really like out of control, and she needs to like put real boundaries with your mother, or she needs to show her mother that her mother basically can walk if she really chooses walking. If she stops sitting in her room, if she goes just somewhere, if she do that, this is just her choice. And the message of this movie is that the condition of her mother's illness is actually beyond just neurological, and her treatment is supposed to be way more complicated than just pills and something. But at the same time, her mother just trapped in that wheelchair because she is not capable of like thinking that she can walk at some point. But once like Sofia saw her mother really walking, she realized that basically he kept that secret from Sofia. And that was just one time when she was able to walk, and the mystery behind her illness is that she can actually walk, but nobody knows what leads to that, her being able to do so. And most of the time she is not able to walk. So she didn't give Sofia any hopes, and she didn't say, like, she didn't actually tell anything about that situation. But now Sofia is, of course, she is now like gonna be more straightforward about this situation, because she actually understood that her mother actually just hindering herself from being like able to walk, and she put her mother on that road to basically force her to choose to walk finally, and not sitting forever in that wheelchair. But while it's like controversial, it's actually bringing a lot of like unsettling. Specifically this scene, she is like kind of brutal for putting this situation. And the ending is just the moment when her mother sitting in this wheelchair and facing basically a big truck just coming her way, and she's gonna be like either in danger or she's gonna just get out of that wheelchair and just walk away. So Sofia put her in the position when she needs to choose if she's gonna leave or if she's gonna just get ran over by this truck. And she's gonna, of course, probably not, of course, because there is no answer whether she survived or not. But if they brought this moment last seconds of the movie, this is either the cliffhanger or this is gonna be just accurate to the novel, because this movie based on a novel. And I guess this is second. It's not cliffhanger. It's not gonna be the like part 2 of this movie. It's most probably that this is gonna be just the same ending of the novel or something like this. But the movie overall just perfectly explored the mother-daughter relationship and the way out of that trap. When you cannot be forever just take giver for your mother, for your parents, and you know that, but you cannot do anything about this because you have to do that no matter what. And at the same time, it's hindering your development, and she's not like, fully, like, she's not really fulfilled in any aspect of her life because of her mother seeks that attention from Sofia. And once like Sofia realized that this is like the circle, she's trapped in this like forever, and she needs to change something. This is something good about this movie, that the movie is overall just sending the good message about the character's need to finally get out of that, and even putting her mother on that road wasn't really a good way to get out of that. It wasn't really fair or safe for her mother. It was the only way she could actually get out of this trap. And even her dreams when she was in this wheelchair, it was kind of symbolic about how she is in that wheelchair, not her mother, but she is trapped as well. And this is like her wheelchair, and they are together just trapped in that. And the Ingrid was just the symbol of freedom, and she brought this spark to Sofia to be able to see that she can change, or at least that she can make her mother make that choice, to finally just get out of that lifestyle. And while this connection with Ingrid is not fully developed, and there is no really ending, or there is no answer whether they stayed longer or if they broke up, it's not really the central relationship, because the movie doesn't need to fully focus on this Ingrid like connection with Sofia. The movie overall is just flowing perfectly with its narrative, and it doesn't need the only one central like relationship. And while I prefer really answers from every character, every life, every storyline, and I want to see the distinct like beginning, middle, and ending of every relationship, I'm really okay with this open ending for this relationship, because we don't really know what they like, how they ended up. But their connection was based not only on attraction, but on their like past. Sofia's past was more about her father, who left her when she was 4, and her mother's trauma, how her mother's trauma hindering her mother from just being able to try to, get out of that cycle, And Sofia's life is the same. She is in her trap, which is not like literally wheelchair, but she's somehow like trapped with your mother, and that wheelchair is just the anchor for Sofia, and she needs to just get rid of that anchor because it bugged down Sofia, and she's in this Ingrid's character something she's lacking, and she's really confused about Ingrid's connections with multiple men, but it's not explicitly the focus of this movie or even of this relationship. Ingrid's relationship with different men at the same time is just the example of how contrast this, how two women lead different lives in the contrast between two different persons. But at the same time, they do not really focusing too much on this. And this is just something extra for Sofia to digest, and she is really disappointed, but at the same time she really understands that she's there for her mother, not for this relationship with Ingrid. And no matter what Ingrid's life is, no matter how she's leading her life and how many men in her life at the same moment, this is not the focus. And this is good because the movie consistent with the message of mother-daughter relationship, and the main focus of course is this, your mother and Sofia's seeking answers about her father, about her past, about what happened to her aunt, her mother's sister. And she finally found out that her mother basically lied to Sofia because her mother's sister never died. She was sent away for some reason. Her mother just kept that as a secret and never told Sofia what happened to her aunt. And this is of course, it's similar to Ingrid's situation when Ingrid accidentally just pushed her sister when she was younger, way younger. In her childhood, basically, she accidentally pushed her sister, and her sister broke her skull. Something like this happened to Ingrid's sister, and since that point, Ingrid's sister, she has a mind of 5 years old or something like this. And this is the guilty conscience of Ingrid. And that guilty consciousness is gonna be bogging down Ingrid's character. In her situation, this is her trap when she's stuck there and she's not able of forgive herself, and she's putting that guilt on herself since that event, even though that was when she was a child, and she didn't mean that to push her sister like that, but at the same time it's drawing parallels with Sofia's trauma and her missing father figure and her demanding mother. And now she is even like more confused, because if she cannot like get answers from her mother, or like find out something about her past, she can actually do that with Ingrid's situation, and she can go and try to basically, get to know something about other person's life, to see if like she probably can get something to navigate her own experience, And this is exactly what it was, basically. Because seeking answers from Ingrid, she found the answers she was looking for in her own journey from the beginning. And while it was like mostly like the relationship not lasting that long, it was still like benefiting Sofia in terms of, exploring her life. And if it wasn't that Ingrid character, she would probably never find out something about her life. And she would never go like changing like this from that reserved Sofia to this new Sofia who is gonna be more brave. And she even told that like neighbor who was basically tying his dog on the roof, and that dog was barking like whole time they were there. She told him to finally untie this dog, and she even threatened him like with a knife. But that was just the moment when we realized how like she can do something even though it's really like threatening other people with a knife. It's just so extreme, but at the same time she can be that completely opposite. Too much, but she can really go and finally just step out of that comfort zone. And the second trigger, which is even more serious than the dog, was this like a secret lover of Ingrid's. Another one, which was like the real disappointment, but at the same time Sofia realized that there is nothing she can rely on, and she probably realized that she doesn't need this relationship like with Ingrid, because not only Ingrid is hooking up at the same time with like different persons, but for Sofia, like she is now prioritizing her getting like treatment for her mother, and to finally like find her own way to heal that, trauma. And since she didn't see her father for a long time, 11 years she hasn't seen him, and she's gonna go to Greece. And her father basically was kind of giving Sofia like thoughts about Sofia's mother's lying about him and about like past and what happened to their family and why they separated, and two different stories from two different like people, which is gonna be the, you know, another dilemma for Sofia, because one person is telling that another person was wrong, but that other person is telling you that that wasn't like because of him, but it was because of another reason. So she's like not completely sure about what happened and if it's gonna be really like if it's gonna be true what they were talking about, like and she even sees that dog, probably the dog she untied. She didn't untie the dog herself, but she told that man to untie this dog. She even sees most probably the dog just finally just, you know, getting freedom and jumping in the water, and the moment of like releasing the dog from being tied, you know, on the roof is the same moment when Sofia realized that now she's untied as well. By, you know, freeing the dog, she just freed herself. She basically helped dog, not even human, but she basically doing that because she's seeking the same for herself. And she even like tossed that phone of Ingrid's in the water, because the connection between Ingrid and her like man Matty was still something irritating Sofia due to Sofia's like character now changing. She's like gonna be like this, just everything she just, you know, hates, she's gonna just get rid of it. And she got rid of this phone basically, even though this is not the cause of her pain, this is not the cause of this situation. She realized that nothing is gonna be the same anymore. And she saw her mother walking, and everything just happened at the same time. Sofia's changing, her mother keeping secrets, and Ingrid's keeping secrets. Everyone just, you know, lying. But once she found all the answers, she just put a stop to all that past by doing this to her mother, putting her on the road and making her choose if she's gonna be forever trapped in that wheelchair, or if she's gonna be really able to finally walk. So there is only one way to find out. Like, if she can really just, walk away. This is, of course, the psychological problem, not the neurological. This is not like physically, her mother cannot walk, but this is like something her mother thinking about not being able to walk and hindering her from walking. And at this point, movie ends and there is no explicit ending about what happens, but still this movie is pretty good and the narrative is good, so I'm gonna just really end this stream because there is nothing else to say about this movie. But this movie was basically the kind of festival type of movies, but at the same time it wasn't too much focusing on same-sex relationship or something like this. It was mostly the background for Sofia to explore her identity, but it wasn't the main focus. So you can find your answers in this movie. I found my answers and I interpreted different moments in my way, and I see that movie as the good, guidance for those who is struggling with the trauma of missing parent figure or the trauma of the bond between relationship between your parents and yourself, the trauma behind the unanswered past, and living in that fog for a long time without understanding what happened in your childhood is gonna be confusing you. And this is why she was like that. She was really just ripping apart everything. In second half of this movie, she was changing a lot, and she went from complete take giver for her mother to the person who made her mother finally choose to get out of that lifestyle. And this is all. Thank you for watching. See you next.